We are very happy to have Cristina with us. She's going to talk about the internationalization of Spanish university. It's about the impact on foreign language teaching and accreditation, and it's about the results of a survey which was carried out at Spanish universities in the private and public sector. And you have got a brief summary and also the report. And Cristina is going to present and introduce also the survey and present the results. And there will be, of course, enough time for questions. You can write into the chat and Tom will follow this up, or you can also afterwards raise your hand and ask questions directly to Cristina. So thank you, Cristina, for agreeing to give this talk, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share my screen. A moment. Tom, you should give me the...
Yep.
Okay. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody? Okay. Let me just do something with this because it's in the middle of my screen. Okay. So, shall I start now? Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Sabina, President of CercleS, for giving the opportunity to CercleS to present this work. For us, we consider that although the study has been done at a national level, as I will explain during my presentation, I think that something similar can be implemented at European level and can be useful for all of us. That's the idea, at least just giving this presentation. I'm going to summarize our conclusions using some examples from the document and highlighting the details that I consider that are most important, okay? First of all, I would like to let you know that the study has been coordinated by the Executive Committee of CercleS that are here. So Andreu, please say hello. This is my colleague Andreu, is the Secretary of the Executive of CercleS. Juana San Martin, that is also here. Juana. And Marta also is here, and Alfredo from Salamanca. Okay, so we all have done the survey. We have just collected the details and developed the study that I'm going to present today. Okay. Right, you have received the full publication where you can see the contents and how the survey deals with the three main points related to internationalization, that is accreditation, training, and incentives, all of them in relation with the students, teachers, and administrative staff. Let me start talking about the origin of the study, which, as you may know, is the CRUE, the Conference of Rectors, publication in 2017, of Language Policy Framework Document for Internationalization of the Spanish University System. The aim of the Conference of Rectors was to offer specific guidelines and recommendations on accreditation, training, and incentives. So CercleS, after more than 1 year, wanted to approach the situation of the universities with respect to the recommendations made in the document. As we think that CercleS may extrapolate the conclusions for a broader context and establish synergies with university language centers in Europe. What has been our work? Right, the survey was sent to all the rectors of public and private universities in Spain, whether or not they were members of CercleS. Since our aim was to have the largest number of participants in the survey in order to present the study that showcased the impact that the 2017 CRUE document has had in terms of internationalization in the Spanish university system. We present the data by percentages according to the total number of the universities that have responded to the survey. And in cases where it is relevant to the objective of our study, we do differentiate between the situation in public or private universities, as well as differences that exist between autonomous communities. So I'm going to summarize the conclusions and highlight some of the details. First of all, in relation with students, right? So we have all the collectives taken into account. Regarding the accreditation of the students' linguistic competence, we have observed that most universities have introduced a language requirement for students to graduate, and a B2 level is required in higher percentage of private universities compared with public ones. Let's see this graphic that is really, okay. In the case of public universities, more than 42% require B1 and 70% a B2, while 32% of the universities do not require any level or are not considering it. In the case of private universities, B1 and B2 level requirement is balanced. And we consider remarkable the fact that the B2 level requirement is broader in private universities than in public universities. That's something that to take into account. In any case, it must be noted that the vast majority of universities, through their language centers, have worked to offer their own certifications of competence such as CercleS, apart from offering certifications from international recognized external entities. Regarding the recognition of language proficiency certificates between universities, there is still a way to go. And both CercleS and the CRUE are going to play an essential role in this. In this sense, CercleS is working together with CercleS in mutual recognition at European level. We also notice an upward trend of the parts of the university to offer and improve teaching in other languages, being aware that there is still a long way to go until we have this consolidated offer. In relation to training, we have seen that universities are aware of the need to offer complementary training in foreign languages, and most offer it, but they do not have sufficient means to offer it for free to students. We note that the number of universities that offer specific training for students' mobility is still a minority. The training actions are mainly focused on training for professional development. At CercleS, we believe that the purpose of education in language must be modified considerably. The objective of the training is the development of the linguistic repertoire in which all the linguistic capabilities take place. This obviously implies that the languages offered in educational institutions must be diversified and provide the possibility of developing a multilingual competence. Being multilingual means developing a competence in the different languages of a speaker's repertoire to a different degree of mastery for each skill according to their needs. In short, universities must prepare students as professionals in accordance with social needs, and they need quality staff and faculty. Languages are valuable tools for work and integration in a society that is international. Finally, and regarding incentives for students, it is worth noting the existence of a clear commitment by the vast majority of universities for training through subsidized courses or at reduced price. In terms of language proficiency accreditation, most universities offer language proficiency accreditation exams with reduced fees. In order to the majority options, both in public and in private universities, is that of CercleS exams, university exams for university students. In addition to the double investment in subsidized or reduced price language training and accreditation, most Spanish universities encourage the internationalization of their students through the possibility of obtaining ECTS credits. The offer of the incentives for university students is completed with a grown scarce intercultural training offer and language exchange programs as means of practicing the languages studied interculturally. Some of the figures for this, what I've been talking about. Another example is related to the recommendations to include the student accreditation, the duly certified S6 level of the graduates, and in the case of bilingual and multilingual degrees, explicitly state the participation of the student in such itineraries in order to provide visibility of the added value of foreign languages knowledge. As we can see, 53% of the universities include the exit level of their graduates duly accredited. I would like to highlight that the data by autonomous communities indicate that they do include certificate in the majority of them. Let's move now to the conclusions about teaching and research staff. As for the teaching and research personnel, we were able to observe that there is a clear trend towards quality training. This shows a clear concern for the training and accreditation on lectures to teach in foreign languages. We would like to stress that most universities make language courses available to lecturers in order to improve their linguistic competence. The percentage of institutions that do not have a chapter devoted to language training within their lecture training plans is very small. Therefore, we confirm that there is a specific training for this group. However, few universities have yet developed a system for evaluating the quality of training programs, although some universities are working on it. Talking about training, it is worth noting that the promotion of internationalization, both by offering training and by enabling linguistic accreditation, has similar adoption rates. As training is generally more expensive, this implies a significant investment of resources by universities' internationalization. The inclusion of language accreditation as a merit for hiring the teachers and researchers, seen in 14% of cases, is of great interest. It is one more indicator that shows how universities actively seek the internationalization of their teaching and research staff. As intensive, we consider that the decrease in the number of teaching hours for lectures teaching in foreign languages is an important incentive, although costly for universities. On the other hand, most of the universities promote linguistic revision programs and actions to improve the competencies regarding oral and written expressions with the aim of increasing the production and international dissemination and research, or they are planning to do so. This shows a search for multilingualism, not only in the field, in the teaching field, but also for research and dissemination of scientific production. Some of the figures related to what I've been mentioning is, as you can see now, 16% of the universities require a C1 accreditation on a compulsory basis. For 31%, training and accreditation are voluntary, and 12% establish both accreditation and training as an essential requirement, indicating that more than one quarter of the surveyed universities use the accreditation procedure as a requirement for bilingual programs. This accreditation is not necessarily completed through a CercleS exam. Some universities have decided to certify lectures for teaching in English, or they consider the possibility of recognizing some of the certificates included in the CercleS or CRUE tables. Lastly, a number of ways to verify the level are considered exclusively for this purpose, such as having taught in that language at the foreign university for a year or recognizing native status. On the other hand, 6 universities require accreditation, although just for B2 level, and 5 admit being in a planning process to demand C1 accreditation in the future. A small group of universities, about 10%, despite not having accreditation as a requirement, do subsidize the accreditation exam, and only 2% include training as a compulsory part. Among the 35 universities that claim to have a budget, one states that the training and accreditation of levels of different foreign languages is offered to lecturers under preferential conditions. And another mentioned that the budget is for programs to help teaching in English, which includes 2 training modules, class observation and accreditation exams. Another university notes that the budget and the conditions of participation are defined in its own international plan dedicated to linguistic policy actions. On the other hand, 12%, that is to say 7 universities out of the 58 that completed the survey, claim that they do not have any budget for this. It should be noted that some universities claim that they do not have budget, but nevertheless do offer reduction in enrollment prices for their staff language courses. We also can see how, in line with the situation raised in the previous point regarding the system of training plans, most universities make language courses available to lecturers to improve their language skills. In this regard, we will highlight that 22% offer exclusive courses for teaching and research staff. Let's move to the conclusions related to administration and services personnel. We can see that most universities enable their administration and services personnel to take linguistic accreditation tests at B1 or higher levels. And there is a growing interest in having a linguistic requirement in the profile. In the case of administrative staff training, it shows how the majority of universities have launched and facilitated the attendance to specific courses, many of them within university training plans with different modalities, general languages, specific purpose, online resources, and so on. Regarding the incentive offered by the universities for both linguistic and training and accreditation of linguistic mastery have feeling reductions for the administrative and services personnel, and there is a support for mobility of this collective. Regarding the administrative staff, we observe that this group is increasingly considered as a cornerstone in the internationalization of universities in Spain. There is a growing interest in having a linguistic requirement in the profile of the different positions. It is a rather surprising fact since great efforts are made in training and accreditation of language proficiency. This may be due to the coexistence of internationalization plans with training and professional training plans organized by the management team of the universities for the administrative personnel. Furthermore, we believe that given the high percentage of universities that promote the participation of both administrative staff and also teachers and researchers in mobility programs, a study on the benefits obtained would be necessary. We also consider necessary to study to what extent training impacts the ability of personnel to work in English, because it's something that hasn't been studied yet. As it can be noted, more than 70% of the universities offer specific courses for the administrative staff. Only 50% do not have a specific language training plan for this group. 12% of the universities mention that they are implementing it, or they have some support for the training of them. As we have already seen in the training section, the administrative staff group is where the greatest effort is being made regarding the offer of language training and in the reduction of fees, both in training and in accreditation. Thus, we can see how 60% of the universities have implemented specific courses for on-the-job training. 71 apply reductions in training and accreditation, and 12% are planning to do so. Also, 60% of the universities promote certification among the group of this group of administrative and services staff. Only 41% indicate having a language accreditation for new hiring or administrative personnel for internal promotion. We believe this data is inconsistent with the training percentages of the group, compared to 71% who encourage training, or compared to almost 75% who facilitate the attendance at language training. This commitment to language knowledge is not reflected in the hiring or promotion of personnel. So something has to be done there. Then, which is the role of CercleS, or what does CercleS do? We highlight the polysemic nature of the concept of quality and the challenges it poses for us as far as centers are concerned. This is clearly growing demand for information. The educational system as a whole must respond to the demands that citizens and society pose to them. Equality education must be characterized by the importance it bestows upon educational results. The university must be, therefore, an effective institution, that is, one that achieves the ends, goals, objectives that the society expects from it. Quality is achieved when the students learn what they should learn. We can highlight that the vast majority of the universities, through their language centers, have worked and are working to offer their own proficiency checks, such as the CercleS, a language accreditation model developed by CercleS, and in short is an exam model created by the universities for the university community. It should also be noted that most language centers offer international recognized external entity certifications apart from the CercleS exam. Regarding the recognition of the language proficiency certificates between universities, there is still a way to go. In this sense, CercleS is working together with CercleS in mutual recognition of European level. With respect to the common European recognition, we must mention NULTE, that is the Network of Language Testers in Europe, which promotes the standardization of language proficiency levels and assessment system. NULTE operates, as you know, under the CercleS umbrella. Among the objectives of the network is the establishment of standards to recognize qualifications across borders. The NULTE network has established a system that aims to guarantee quality for university language tests, contributing also to the professionalization of university language evaluators. NULTE certificates represent university certification system developed to measure language proficiency in context of higher education, and offers a high quality assessment of language skills, a particular interest on the needs of graduates. These certificates undoubtedly facilitate the mobility of students, lecturers, and administrative personnel and services. They increase the employability of academics from all disciplines. Which could be the role of CercleS? What can we do together? We think it would be a good idea to extrapolate that conclusions for a broader context. In order to get this goal, we may design a survey jointly with other European language centers adapted to this broader context. And it would be necessary to create, I think, a working group to implement a survey and analyze the results. And then once we have it done, CercleS will disseminate the results to highlight the contribution of language centers to the internationalization of the universities. I think this is one word that would be really interesting, because the impact of our study in Spain has been quite a lot. and the language centers have a role in the internationalization, and I think CercleS, as the Association of Language Centers in Europe, should have also a good work to do there. So thank you very much. This is my presentation, and I think it's better having conversation, and if you have any questions or you want to ask anything, I will be at your disposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cristina, for this intensive overview. I've got quite some questions, but I would like to give the floor to the colleagues first. And do you want to react? Do you have any comments, any questions, any answers to Cristina's invitation?
May I?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, good, super. So, Cristina, thank you for delivering the results about the internationalization process in Spanish universities. I come from Slovakia. I am an ESP teacher at the Faculty of Material Science and Technology in Trnava of Slovak University of Technology in Bratislava. And currently we are working as a lead in one international project with the aim to prepare our disciplinary teachers for teaching their disciplines, their courses in English. My question is, because you have mentioned just the linguistic point here in trainings, but we have been considering also the didactic point in that preparations of disciplinary teachers. What experience you have got with disciplinary teachers? Are they, let's say, aware of didactics and pedagogical knowledge and base how to deliver their courses in English? Because, for example, in our country, in most of states schools, there are the students whose native or mother tongue is Slovak or Hungarian, not English. And when we talk about internationalization, so we need to have them at the proper or requested level of English, and it's not right now.
Yeah, so you mean if we deliver courses for the EMI teachers delivering lessons in English, but not only how to develop it, the course management, pedagogical, new ways of teaching in English. So we do take into account this, yes. Mm-hmm.
Because we are preparing, or we have prepared right now during that project didactic program, but we are trying to implement and apply content and language integrated learning and teaching into our university. So just to help students to start being taught, let's say, smoothly, continuously, not at once. Because it's not possible to start just offer the courses because they are offered, but the students are not willing to apply for them because it's difficult for them.
Yeah, it's difficult for them. What's happening is also the atmosphere. The student is international, so there are not English speakers, the ones who are in the classroom. You have to be able to manage a classroom that English is the common language, but it's not the native language of the students, neither the teachers sometimes. So this
in our cases,
account. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in our cases, our mother tongue for teachers, also for both teachers and students, is not English.
Mm-hmm.
Sabina?
Yes, I would just ask a question which is linked to the degree of international programs. So if you foster English as a contribution to internationalization of Spanish universities, what is the degree of English taught programs at bachelor and master level in Spain or at Spanish universities?
It really varies from one university to another. It's very different. I'm in a technological university, so it's quite good one. Maybe my colleague Alfredo, Juana, that are not technological university can say something about this, because it depends on the university, it depends on the programs. So it's a variety is, well, there is no common, I think. I don't know, Alfredo or Juana, can you tell anything different from?
Can somebody help Cristina?
Well, I think it depends on the program.
Yeah.
Basically.
So just to explain my question, because I think the motivation of students and of teachers, of course, teaching staff to improve their English or teaching skills in English seems to be linked to the necessity just to cope with studies or to cope with teaching in an English taught program. If I just may add something about our own experience in Switzerland, where our language center serves 2 universities and the Technical University of ETH, their most master programs are taught in English and part of the bachelor programs also. And at the university, it is not to that degree, but we have a lot of master's program taught in English in science, in the field of science and economy. And we have also a very good experience with teaching programs for teaching staff, teaching in English in a multilingual environment.
Yeah.
So, and it is developed together with the pedagogical unit of the University of Zurich. And there is a language specialist, a language teacher, English, or ELF specialist, English as a lingua franca specialist, teaching together with a colleague from the pedagogical unit. And they developed the program together. So it's like kind of a triage being made so that people understand, well, I could develop more my pedagogical skills or more the linguistic skills. And they also understand a little bit more, they learn a bit more about multilingual communication situation. And then they could find out if they need some additional pedagogical training or if they need some additional language training. So it's like a starting point, this first course. It's like a 2-day course, and it seems to be working quite well.
Actually, we are doing the same. We are in contact with the linguistics and the specialists of the different matters. And now most of the teachers have realized that they need it. They need the help of the language teachers. And because the content words and are the keywords for the students to understand the contents of the subject they are teaching. So there is a collaboration. Actually, we are developing many things with them, not helping only just how to deliver the classroom, but also how to highlight the important concept that they want to transmit and how they have to transmit it in the foreign language that is a foreign language for everybody, right?
Yeah.
May I have a question?
Sure.
Okay, Dorota and then Barbara. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Cristina. Hello. I'd like to ask about your experience that I'm just, just to refer to mine, which I have this year and also the year before. Actually, I am from Poznan University of Technology, for the knowledge of the rest of the people here. Actually, our university is just promoting foreign students to come and have study in Poland, in Poznan, and actually some of the courses are also English courses at our university. Foreign language courses, I mean English especially, are run for specialized group of people who study in English. So the whole studies are in English. And what is like a problem that I can see is that the students are taken on the basis of their somehow certificates that they are simply taken to the university. However, when they join a group of these selected people, let's say, who study in English, their level of English is completely different. So now I've got a student who claims to have B2 level, to be at B2 level in English. He's from India. And actually he makes so basic mistakes that and he's just trying now to, not to attend English classes because because we have English course for those students as well. Not only do they study, their basic chemical issues, whatever, but also they have this English course. And I can see that there's a lot of work with these students who think they have knowledge, good command of English. And do you have any experience or any policy, or does the university have any policy for this particular group?
I know that this is a real problem that we have as well. And the problem that sometimes in Spain, Spanish students just decide to attend an international group in order to improve their English. And we have to convince them that this is not the way. They had to previously have the level, because sometimes the lessons in English are not for improving their language capacities, are only to receive the lessons in English as with international students. But the problem is the money, the budget, that we don't have enough money. I have already mentioned it, that most of the universities are aware of the needs that the students have to improve the level of English in this case, but we don't have money to offer them the courses for free, as we are doing for the administrative staff or because they are permanent staff. The problem is spending money on students who are not permanent staff for us. So there's no possibility to have a lot, so the amount of money that you need. So if it's not, you cannot make the courses compulsory for them to access to the groups of the international groups, because you cannot pay for the courses that they need. So of course there is a problem with this because of the level of English is sometimes a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Barbara?
I'd like to come back. My name is Barbara Sawicka from Poznań University of Technology 2. I'd like to come back to the question of EMI, English Medium Instruction. I wanted to ask about the certification. Cristina, you have mentioned that there is certification. Is it a general language certification or specific tailored English medium instruction certification?
No, the university that have this kind of accreditation is that they have a program of training for teachers teaching in a foreign language, and then they have pedagogical training courses. They have many different things, and at the end of this, they had to do an accreditation. They had to present to deliver a lesson in English and to show that they have already learned what they need to, and they are able to, and they have the capability. But this is most universities are developing this now, but it's not compulsory. So it's volunteers only. But this is a program, it's a full program, not only for language, but also for pedagogical methodologies and everything. The things that Sabina is mentioning. So we are trying to do, we are doing this, but it's not compulsory. But by now we cannot. Class observation as well, to see if they follow the rules that we are just trying them to do, and to convince them that the delivering in English is not a question of translating what you are delivering in Spanish. It's another thing. You have to prepare the lesson in English in a different way than in Spanish or in Valenciano or whatever language you are delivering, right?
So it's tailor-made to the courses.
Sorry?
So it's tailor-made to the courses.
Tailor-made, yes, tailor-made.
And do you have the knowledge of how long the courses are usually? How many hours they take?
I think it varies from one university to another. I can just send information that I have from my university, and we have all around the year courses, modules of 20 or 20 hours, depending on the courses, because we do not deliver long courses, but we deliver modules of different things, and then class observation around the semesters. But it depends. So I don't know if any of the universities in Spain can let know, but it depends on the universities.
Do you run tandem courses of language teachers and field-specific subject teachers?
So what we do is what we have created is a group of people, of teachers that are involved in EMI and then belong to a collective that are doing the same. So they exchange ideas, they exchange problems, and they have realized that they can help to each other, you know. So this is really important for us. At the beginning, we have them divided into files, and now they come to according to the things they think they need. Some of them need more language reinforcement, some of them need pedagogical advice, or some of them need another thing. So it depends on the needs, they just attend the different courses.
All right. So it's a kind of cooperation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good.
Yes. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. First of all, congratulations, Cristina, for this very interesting and very helpful survey. I have a question concerning certification. While doing the survey, did you have to deal, or did you have the question about the relationship between certification done by us as language centers or development of our tests, and in relationship to commercial tests like Cambridge, Delhi, Cervantes, etc., etc.? Has this been an issue? Because we are just at the moment in this discussion about the, how to say that, valuation relation between this kind of language testing and language documentation.
You mean having different ways of accreditation? If
Yeah,
there is
and the how to say that, the level of this accreditation, because what I'm noticing in Germany sometimes that the idea of having our own certificates as language centers and the value of the certifications in comparison to the certifications coming from commercial institutions
So
like Cambridge.
We have worked a lot with the CercleS exam, and I can tell you that we've been in contact with the ministers and with the autonomous regions, and now our accreditation exam is recognized by nearly all the institutions, and the Conference of Rectors recognize it. So now for the Erasmus grants and for everything in academic context, it is recognized. Internationally, it depends, but some of the it is becoming more and more recognized as the graduates are taking this exam and then receiving the accreditation from the universities, because now some of they are going to interviews or whatever, and they have the CercleS exam, and now it's well known, and we have the accreditation already recognized, and this at national level is okay.
So congratulations. Thank you.
Sabina?
Yes, I've got a question or a suggestion to make. I think it could be very interesting at the CercleS level to share the formats of training for teaching staff and admin staff, because my perception is that the access levels for students, as for English, for example, are very different. It depends on the situation in different European countries, and of course it depends on the education in English at college or gymnasium and so on, but high school. But I think it could be interesting to share experience and formats of training, teaching staff teaching in English, or teaching in English in a multilingual context, and also perhaps sharing the formats we have for teaching admin staff also. This could be something we could just compile, and perhaps also gives, some, doing a survey is one thing, but perhaps also giving some suggestion or offering insight into different formats for the CercleS community.
Yeah. So, but we should, I think we should, well, if there are people interested in something similar to this, or to extrapolate to the content that we are working all together, I think we should have a working group trying to see which actions from this conclusion that we have can be extrapolated to at European level, and then one can be this one, another one can be related to students, and how, because we are talking about that we need a B2 to go to Germany or whatever, but what is happening? What is the reality? What is happening with the students moving, and what is happening with the staff that is moving to the Erasmus program, and what is happening with this? So I think we should try to do something similar to this and have.
Okay, Mark, do you want to say something in relation to Delph?
No, I was really just agreeing with Ruth. We've had some problems with Unilang in the context of the Institut Français and the Institut de Cervantes being upset that we offer a parallel certification.
Do you?
Yeah. Well, talking about Delph, so the French certification, which is used to evaluate the B2, the required B2 level for students who come to study in France. So this is in our normal science or language, but not language programs, but our normal university programs. It was Dorota who mentioned the discrepancy between the apparent level on the piece of paper that they come with and the real level when they arrive. And we come, and certainly in France, of course, we have specifically master's programs, which would close if they refused students who didn't have full certificates. Okay, so nobody is complaining about the fact that they can't speak French or English, because generally speaking, if they can't speak French, they can't speak English either. As long as they're good at maths or good at physics or good at whatever it is. I work in the science faculty of the University of Aix-Marseille in the south of France, and it's that this budget issue, you know, is also hitting in strange ways. The language problems and the budget problems are strange cousins sometimes. Okay.
Mhm.
Anybody else? The floor is open. Don't be shy. Yes, Ludmila.
Okay, so can I go back to the budget you have mentioned? This budget is provided for universities by state, or it is the budget which is generated by a university and it diverse?
Well, it depends. There's budget that comes from the state. There's budget that comes from the autonomy, the community, and sometimes from the resources that the university has. It depends on it varies a lot. It varies a lot. For example, I can, you know, at the language center, some of the benefits that I have, I use for the training of staff, but also I have money from the university and from the autonomous region. Yes.
Thank you.
So it's a mixture. It depends on the situation. The private universities, of course, they have their own budget, but the public, I think, is a mixture of the money comes from many different places.
Because when we call for a, let's say, unifying a system for language accreditation or certifications and so on, I think that what we have noticed and spotted in several international projects, there is a huge diversity across Europe, and also huge diversity within one state and one country. So I think that it's so complex issue what to solve that I don't know if it is possible to find a unique and unified way.
A unique, I thought just one specification of it. Barbara knows that we've been working together and we have just made the comparison between ACERT and CercleS, and we have very good results that we are assessing exactly the same, and the level of we have even changed the interlocutors and the examiners, and we have just marked, we have gone to the oral exams that they have come to Valencia to do the oral exams to our students, and then we have used our marking scales and change the marking scales, and it works properly. So I think the comparison between the different accreditation systems has to be done to check that we are assessing the same. And so there's a lot of work to do, but I think we can go on this.
We used to have such a certification system, UniCert. That was the name of that yes. System for certified the language competence of students. But due to cut of English courses for students, right now we are not allowed to provide that.
Yeah, it depends. So I think it's not easy to have a common one, but at least to validate the ones that we are doing and to recognize to each other, I think there's a work to do there.
If I'm okay, Sabina.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's just that talking about this choosing a common certification and talking about budget cuts and the fact that we can't. There is money because TOEIC and Cambridge and Oxford, they're all doing very well, okay? So there is money in certification. The question is just, how do we get it, all right? How do we get that money, okay? Because they're doing very well. I mean, Cambridge is, in France, all academics in France, all language teachers in France are submerged with emails promoting different certifications, okay, which all cost approximately the same. And so I hope that the NULTI and various other initiatives will allow us one day to take control of this. Sabina.
Well, I would really come back a little bit to my suggestion, and I don't want to force anybody to do anything, but I think we could have the chance, also due to the pandemic and the fact that we do a lot now online, we could really have the chance to develop some standards, for example, for and perhaps even develop a course, but for teaching in English in multilingual classrooms. And yes, it is. It could be an option now. And if we can, I mean, even defining standards for good courses. Yes, what kind of didactic elements should they have? Perhaps, of course, they have to be aligned to a specific situation in a country or at the university. But what we could do as a working group, for example, from CercleS, is really to define some quality standards of such courses. And even perhaps offer, then also develop a module or something. Yes, we can start with something which could be offered for different universities. We of course would have first to do some research in what we have and what works well, and define some criteria, and then perhaps see what we could offer. And this is also something you can argue with towards authorities, that you have, of course, you have a very sound training program which refers, which is aligned to certain quality and sustainability criteria in teaching how to teach. So why I think this we could have a standing. We could have a standing there. Yeah, we should tell on a standard or something, and we can develop the course and online courses as well. So. Going back to what you had mentioned. But what do the others think? It's just my idea. I don't know. What do you think about that?
It's a very good idea to think about teaching standards in the times of coronavirus. Most of us probably teach, and we've got some experience. But I'd like to come back to the previous point, which was raised by Tom, namely the money in the certification systems. Well, certainly there is a large demand of certification, even in such difficult times. But unfortunately, I think that the commercial companies like Cambridge, IELTS, and so on are one step ahead of us, because, or at least one step ahead of us. Because what we need, in fact, we can do online speaking certified examinations, no problem. For sure, you have already done them, yes? Or some of you have done them, because it's possible. But if we wish to have full certificates which take into account all these skills, we need to have software. And this is commercial. Yes, this is costly.
Oh, we have developed a software for our exam. We are trying to implement it with the CercleS exam with a program, with a software. Because one thing that we are dealing with is that first of all, we need to have it computerized and then think about what we can do. So, because the competition is really brave. Cambridge, TOEFL, TOEIC, all of them are computer-based now, and we should do something that is competitive. So we should do our exam computer-based by now. Then online, I don't know, but at least computer-based, right? This is important.
Good.
In our situation, computer-based is enough because we've got almost 25,000 people ill. So nobody, in a moment, nobody will be out, and it will not be possible to make a computer-based test because our university has already closed again. Yes, so we do not have classes. We need to have, we need to apply for the consent to have even a small group of students in a class to have an examination, paper and pen or computer-based. So what I meant is that we need software which would allow us to do an online examination real time that would make the process as valid as possible. As it is done, I'm thinking about e-proctoring, right? Examinations which are e-proctored, which somehow let the examiner control the situation so that the examination is valid and reliable. I have been to recently I have been to a presentation by What was the company? That was not Pearson. One of the English examination companies, which is which will be used to test students at the entrance to the universities. I have forgotten the name of the examination system now, but they have presented in the presentation the system which allows to control the whole exam.
Yeah.
I will find out what it was.
Thank you. Ruud?
I would just come back to the question Sabina raised about the teaching standards and certification standards, and I would underline the idea of really thinking of perhaps not developing a course, but developing standards for language teaching, especially in this situation we have in the pandemic situation at the moment. We are online. We're in online formats. We don't know when we can go back, how we can go back. And I think it would be extremely helpful if we had some kind of guidelines from CercleS or from other national associations, and to having thought what the specifics of language teaching is, to be able to negotiate with our universities, how we can go back and not coming in this danger of saying, okay, online teaching in languages has functioned very well, so we will go on with that, and that means budget cuts, etc., etc. Yeah, I'm quickly finished. And the other day of certification standards, I think it's quite a good idea. And you know, we in Germany were working with UniCert, and that's the idea behind UniCert, not developing tests, but giving standards for each university to develop standard tests within a standardized system. So
Yes.
I think also a very good point. But I think the idea of defining what teaching means, specifically online teaching now in the pandemic situation, might be a good help for us.
Okay, there was Martin.
Well, concerning this proposal of standards, I think that the first step could be to share different programs that most universities or many universities develop in order to support those teachers who need to teach in English, and English, of course, is not their native language, and they are not language teachers. And I think that it would be a first step, and it could be very useful, and we could have it in a short time, even, I don't know, but it's just sharing with the programs of these courses or materials that may be available online. And we should have a website or web page, I don't know, something where we can share all this information and collect everything that is done in European universities.
Ludmila?
Yeah, so we have just designed such web platform. It is done for community of ESP and CLIL experts, a community of disciplinary teachers, and right now it's being some study materials which have been created for the students being taught in courses in English. They will be uploaded into that web platform. So if you are interested in that, I can share it with you, because I would like to ask you also to go through the didactic program we have prepared and to have some comments and any ideas how to improve it, because this web platform, the aim of it to be dynamic and to develop that platform through the cooperations on transnational level.
That's sounds like a great note to finish on, Sabina.
Yes, yes. I would just like to suggest, so your suggestion, Ludmila, is a suggestion for like peer support, yes, and peer feedback. So in order that this works correctly, I think you have to address colleagues, and what we could always offer in CercleS is just our CercleS network, but that it's huge, but probably the response will be much smaller. So if you want us to send out to a larger community an invitation to look at the website and give feedback, you could always do that. And the other point, I take with me the suggestion of also Marta also supported that, and some of you also, that we could we could start collecting teacher training offerings and just try to compare and find perhaps some guidelines and define some standards. And other things are still open. Yes, the question of, is there any interest in doing a larger research with similar focus as the one the CercleS has done for Spain? And I would like to finish responding to the point which was also brought up by Ruth, mainly the necessity of having like a memorandum or a statement by CercleS which defines the quality of different forms of language teaching. You mentioned specifically face-to-face teaching versus online teaching, but I guess we should really be also able to define quality of different formats. We are going to have, we are going back to the volunteers for a research group, which is going to do a survey about the experience teaching languages in CercleS communities under the pandemic. And we could also use the questions of the survey to then later on use the results to define such a memorandum. And on the other hand, the European Language Center for Modern Languages is also going to start a large survey about teaching and learning languages on different levels, where I will also bring in the questions and the interests of our CercleS community, mainly teaching languages in higher education. But yes, there is this political issue for sure. And if we have some, not only political claims, but also we can give some evidence about quality and language teaching in different formats, this will be good. And we will be following this up. So thank you, Cristina, for the talk. It gave a floor to a lot, to discussion of many items. We could have stayed for a longer time. So we are going to also bring this back to the executive committee, and we will come back to the CercleS community, and you will, and with some suggestions, and you can always also in between, of course, contact one another and follow this up among colleagues. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Also to all of you for your time.
Before you go, may I just suggest, if you're interested in actually contacting, because once we leave, you won't know who each other are. If you put your name, address, university in the chat, then I will send an email to those people who are interested in getting in touch with anybody else. Okay, and you can create an informal group, because I just realized that once we say goodbye, that's it. It's like, who was that? Who was the person that spoke, etc. Okay, so if you put your address in the chat, then you are accepting that I will send your address to everybody else in the group.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Thank you so much.
That's me. The clock. The clock.
It's six now.
Okay. So once you've put your name, etc. in the chat, then goodbye.
Yes, goodbye and have a nice evening.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
Bye.
See you tomorrow, Sabina.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sabina.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Barbara.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.